In a galaxy teeming with powerful species and terrifying beasts, no creature was more feared than humans, not for their strength or technology, but for something far more dangerous: their minds. Across countless star systems, the warning echoed, "Beware the human mind." To the Galactic Council, this was no mere legend. It was a hard-earned truth, forged through encounters with humanity's most unpredictable weapon: creativity. Where other species followed logic, humans thrived in chaos. They solved impossible problems with reckless ideas. They laughed in the face of danger and found opportunity amidst disaster. No one could understand how humans turned fear into courage, despair into hope, and weakness into strength. They weren't the strongest, nor the fastest. Yet they were the most dangerous, because their minds knew no limits. At the prestigious Galactic Academy, young alien pupils gathered, wide-eyed and anxious, as their teacher began the most crucial lesson of their lives. Today, we learn about the most unpredictable force in the universe: the human mind. Uncertainty filled the room. How could such fragile beings be so feared? The answer lay in humanity's greatest paradox: they were impossibly creative, beautifully chaotic, and utterly unstoppable. The galaxy is ancient, and its civilizations are vast and varied. From the logic-bound Malkorians to the war-hardened Tharvaks, every species prided itself on its unique strengths. Yet, when humans entered the galactic stage, everything changed. They defied every rule, shattered every expectation, and left the greatest minds scrambling for answers. It wasn't their technology plenty of species were more advanced. It wasn't their physical prowess humans were relatively fragile compared to the towering Braloks or the armored Silurans. No, the danger lay somewhere far more potent. It lay within their minds. The Galactic Council first became aware of this during humanity's initial diplomatic contact. Negotiators from 8 different species tried to predict human responses using complex algorithms. Every time, the humans defied expectations. They joked when they should have been serious, agreed when it seemed illogical, and found solutions no one else could imagine. Confusion turned to alarm when military strategists examined human warfare. Human commanders ignored conventional wisdom, breaking formations that had been standard for millennia. They ambushed from impossible angles, turned retreat into victory, and weaponized deception with terrifying efficiency. At first, the Council attributed this to luck. But as humanity continued to grow in power and influence, it became clear humans didn't play by the rules because they didn't see them. Their minds were unrestricted, unchained by tradition or expectation. This was more than adaptability. It was a different way of thinking altogether. Humans saw patterns where others saw chaos. They connected ideas that no other species could link. They invented, innovated, and improvised with reckless brilliance. This was why the Galactic Academy issued its chilling warning: beware the human mind, not out of fear of human weapons or armies, but out of fear of human ideas. To the galaxy, this was terrifying. Ideas were powerful, but human ideas were dangerous. They didn't just solve problems, they created new possibilities. Humans didn't just think outside the box. They destroyed the box, built something unimaginable, and then questioned why anyone needed a box to begin with. But how did this come to be? What made humans think so differently? The answer lay in their origin. On a world of chaos and catastrophe, humans were forced to adapt or die. They grew up surrounded by danger, from predators lurking in shadows to disasters that could wipe out entire populations. Survival required not just intelligence but creativity. This relentless pressure shaped their minds. They didn't merely learn, they questioned. They didn't merely adapt, they transformed. And when faced with the impossible, they didn't surrender, they imagined a way through. To the rest of the galaxy, this was both fascinating and terrifying. A species that could weaponize creativity and thrive in chaos was a threat like no other. Today, at the Galactic Academy, young minds gathered to understand this threat. Their teacher looked at them, her eyes filled with caution, and spoke the words that echoed through history. To face a human is to face the unknown. To understand them is to understand the limitless. This was no ordinary lesson. It was a warning, a preparation for the unimaginable. And it all began with the most dangerous force in the universe, the human mind. To understand why the human mind is considered the most dangerous force in the galaxy, we must first journey to its birthplace, Earth, a world unlike any other. In the vast cosmos, planets with intelligent life were rare, and those that could produce a species as complex as humans were even rarer. But Earth was no ordinary world. It was a crucible of chaos, a relentless gauntlet of challenges that shaped the human psyche into something unique, powerful, and terrifyingly adaptable. Earth was a death world. Its environments were harsh, unpredictable, and often lethal. From searing deserts that could dehydrate a human within hours to freezing tundras that threatened hypothermia within minutes, survival required constant vigilance. And it wasn't just the climate. Predators with razor-sharp fangs, venomous creatures hiding in shadows, and diseases that could decimate entire populations forced early humans to evolve or perish. Most species in the galaxy evolved in stable, predictable environments. They adapted to routine challenges, developing specialized skills that allowed them to thrive within their ecological niche. But Earth offered no such stability. Seasons changed violently. Catastrophes like volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, and floods were regular occurrences. There was no niche to settle into, no comfort zone to rely on. Humans had to be ready for anything. This perpetual state of danger forged a mind that was both adaptive and creative. Humans didn't just react to threats, they anticipated them. They developed foresight, an ability to imagine scenarios that hadn't yet occurred. This was the beginning of strategic thinking, of planning not just for the present, but for an uncertain future. Faced with predators faster and stronger than them, humans couldn't rely on brute force. Instead, they weaponized their environment. They turned stones into tools, branches into spears, and fire into a shield against the darkness. This was the first sign of their boundless creativity, seeing not just what was, but what could be. While other species adapted to fit their environment, humans changed the environment to suit their needs. They built shelters to withstand storms, crafted clothing to survive freezing temperatures, and engineered weapons to hunt creatures much larger than themselves. They were not bound by their limitations, they transcended them. But necessity was only one part of the equation. The other was curiosity. Unlike other intelligent species, humans were never satisfied with mere survival. They questioned everything. Why does the sun rise? What lies beyond the ocean? How can we reach the stars? This relentless curiosity drove them to explore, to experiment, and to invent. It was this combination of necessity and curiosity that led to the development of abstract thought. Humans didn't just see objects, they saw possibilities. A rock was not just a rock. It was a tool, a weapon, a symbol. This ability to assign meaning and purpose to the seemingly mundane was the foundation of human ingenuity. Their abstract thinking gave rise to language, a complex system of communication that allowed them to share ideas, pass down knowledge, and collaborate on a scale no other species could match. With language, they didn't just survive, they thrived. They built communities, formed alliances, and organized societies. Yet this was only the beginning. Humans didn't just adapt to challenges, they created them. When they were no longer threatened by predators, they challenged themselves. They invented games, puzzles, and competitions. They engaged in philosophical debates and scientific inquiries. They turned problem-solving into an art form. This need for challenge was embedded in their very nature. It was why they climbed mountains simply because they were there. It was why they explored the depths of the ocean, ventured into space, and split the atom. They didn't just face the unknown, they pursued it. Other species evolved to solve the problems they encountered. Humans evolved to solve problems that didn't yet exist. Their creativity was not limited to survival, it extended to curiosity, ambition, and imagination. They built tools to enhance their senses, machines to amplify their strength, and technology to expand their reach. But this creativity was a double-edged sword. The same mind that invented the plow to feed millions also invented the sword to conquer nations. The same curiosity that led to space exploration also led to weapons of mass destruction. Humans didn't just solve problems, they weaponized solutions. The galaxy first witnessed this during the early stages of human space exploration. Within mere centuries of achieving flight, humans were colonizing planets, establishing trade networks, and building fleets that rivaled those of ancient empires. Their rapid progress defied all calculations. Galactic scholars were baffled. How could a species with no inherent biological advantages rise so quickly? The answer was in their adaptability. Humans didn't just learn, they evolved culturally, technologically, and ideologically. They questioned traditions, challenged dogmas, and reinvented themselves with every generation. Their history was filled with revolutions, not just political, but intellectual. They didn't just improve, they transformed. Empires rose and fell. Philosophies clashed and merged. Technologies were invented and made obsolete within a single lifetime. Change was their constant, and innovation their survival mechanism. This was unheard of. In most civilizations, progress was gradual, predictable, and linear. But for humans, it was exponential. They didn't just climb the ladder of progress, they built rockets to shoot past it. Their adaptability went beyond technology. It was psychological. Humans could endure loss, pain, and suffering with unmatched resilience. When faced with defeat, they didn't surrender, they adapted. When confronted with impossibility, they redefined it. This psychological flexibility was perhaps their most dangerous trait. They didn't just survive adversity, they grew stronger from it. They turned trauma into art, loss into wisdom, and failure into opportunity. To them, obstacles were merely challenges waiting to be conquered. This was why the Galactic Academy feared the human mind. It wasn't just intelligent, it was relentless. It wasn't just creative, it was boundless. Humans didn't just think, they imagined. They dreamed, they invented, and they transformed. On Earth, this adaptability made them the dominant species. In the galaxy, it made them a paradox, both a threat and a promise, both a danger and a hope. And as the young pupils of the Galactic Academy listened, they began to understand the warning that echoed through their textbooks: beware the human mind. Because the human mind didn't just adapt to reality, it created new realities, and that made them the most dangerous species in the universe. To understand the true danger of the human mind, one must confront its most confounding trait: unpredictability. While most intelligent species in the galaxy operate within defined behavioral patterns, guided by instincts and cultural norms, humans defy all such limitations. Their thoughts are not bound by logic alone, they are driven by emotion, intuition, and imagination. This makes them not only adaptable but also dangerously unpredictable. In the Galactic Academy, scholars have long struggled to model human behavior. Predictive algorithms that worked flawlessly on other species failed spectacularly on humans. Decisions that seemed irrational at first glance often led to groundbreaking discoveries or unprecedented victories. This inconsistency puzzled the brightest minds of the galaxy. How could a species be so illogical yet so effective? The answer lay in the complexity of human emotions. Joy, sorrow, anger, fear, love, hate, these were not merely responses to stimuli. They were powerful motivators that could override logic and reason. A human in love could defy all odds to protect their partner. A human consumed by anger could achieve feats of strength previously thought impossible. Fear could either paralyze them or push them to unimaginable bravery. This emotional volatility made humans difficult to predict. In one moment, they could be compassionate and selfless, risking their lives to save strangers. In the next, they could be ruthless and vengeful, unleashing devastating wrath upon their enemies. There was no pattern, no formula to calculate their reactions. Yet this unpredictability was also their greatest strength. It allowed them to think outside the box, to challenge conventions, and to innovate in ways no other species could. It enabled them to find solutions that were not only unconventional, but also revolutionary. When faced with insurmountable odds, humans didn't just persevere, they redefined the rules of the game. Take, for example, the Battle of Nexus Prime. The Galactic Confederation had calculated a 99.8% probability of human defeat. Their forces were outnumbered, outgunned, and surrounded. Surrender was the logical choice, but humans defied all calculations. Instead of retreating, they launched a daring counteroffensive, exploiting a weakness that no strategist had considered, using debris fields to blind the enemy's targeting systems. It was a maneuver so audacious, so reckless, that no one could have anticipated it. This was the terrifying power of human unpredictability. They could turn weaknesses into strengths, disadvantages into opportunities. They didn't just adapt to circumstances, they manipulated them. Their chaotic thinking allowed them to see possibilities that were invisible to more linear minds. But it wasn't just on the battlefield. In science, art, and philosophy, humans shattered boundaries. They questioned everything, from the nature of reality to the meaning of existence. Where other species accepted truths passed down through generations, humans challenged them. They didn't just accept knowledge, they reinvented it. This willingness to question the status quo made humans not only innovators but also revolutionaries. They led social movements that toppled empires, philosophical debates that redefined morality, and scientific breakthroughs that reshaped entire civilizations. To them, nothing was sacred, not even their own beliefs. They constantly evolved, not just physically but intellectually and ideologically. This ideological flexibility was as dangerous as their strategic unpredictability. It meant they could adapt to any cultural, political, or social environment. They could blend in, assimilate, and influence others without losing their identity. It was this trait that made human diplomats so effective and so feared. They didn't just negotiate, they persuaded. They didn't just debate, they inspired. They could find common ground with the most hostile of species, turning enemies into allies. But they could just as easily manipulate, deceive, and outmaneuver opponents without ever lifting a weapon. Their words were as potent as their guns, and their ideas as lethal as their swords. This was why the Galactic Council struggled to contain humanity. They couldn't predict the next move, couldn't anticipate their strategies, couldn't control their influence. Humans were not just warriors, they were philosophers, diplomats, and strategists. They fought with ideas as much as with weapons. And it was this ideological warfare that made them truly unstoppable. Where other species conquered through force, humans conquered through influence. They didn't just impose their will, they made others believe in it. They didn't just win battles, they won hearts and minds. This made them the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Not because of their technology or military might, but because of their minds. Minds that could dream the impossible and make it a reality. Minds that could defy logic and create new paradigms. Minds that were not just intelligent, but unpredictable. In the end, it was not their weapons, but their thoughts that the galaxy feared, because no one could predict the mind of a human, and that made them a force unlike any other. If the unpredictability of the human mind was terrifying, then their mastery over ideas was nothing short of apocalyptic. Unlike other species that relied on brute force or technological superiority, humans wielded ideas as their most potent weapons. They understood that physical might could break bodies, but ideas could conquer souls. And once an idea took root, it could overthrow empires, reshape societies, and even rewrite the fabric of reality itself. Humans were not the first species to develop complex philosophies or ideologies. However, they were the first to weaponize them with unparalleled precision. They recognized the power of narratives, symbols, and beliefs not merely as cultural artifacts but as tools of influence and control. Where others saw stories, humans saw strategies. Where others saw doctrines, humans saw weapons. It was this insight that allowed them to dominate the battlefield of the mind. They crafted ideologies that inspired loyalty, courage, and sacrifice. They forged narratives that justified wars and sparked revolutions. They used symbols to rally movements and words to inspire generations. From ancient civilizations to interstellar empires, humanity's history was a testament to the power of ideas. Consider the concept of freedom, a notion so powerful that it transcended time, culture, and even species. For humans, freedom was not just a political ideal, it was a spiritual imperative. They fought wars, toppled tyrannies, and defied entire galaxies in its name. But it wasn't merely about governance or independence. It was about the right to dream, to explore, to create, and to be. When humans entered the Galactic Council, they didn't just bring their technology or military strength, they brought their ideas. Ideas that challenged the very foundations of galactic civilization. Ideas that questioned authority, defied tradition, and demanded progress. Their philosophies spread like wildfire, inspiring rebellion among the oppressed and hope among the downtrodden. The Council was not prepared for this ideological onslaught. Their laws were designed to control populations, to maintain order and stability. But human ideas were chaotic, disruptive, and revolutionary. They couldn't be censored or suppressed because they were too adaptable. When banned, they went underground. When outlawed, they were whispered in secret. When persecuted, they became martyrdoms that only strengthened their influence. It wasn't long before the Council realized that humanity's greatest weapon was not their fleet or their soldiers, but their words. They could persuade with logic, inspire with emotion, and manipulate with deception. They mastered propaganda, rhetoric, and persuasion with a finesse that was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. This wasn't merely about diplomacy or negotiation. Humans could shape perceptions, control narratives, and rewrite history itself. They understood the power of information and disinformation. They could turn allies into enemies with a whisper, and enemies into allies with a speech. They could fabricate threats, create heroes, and manufacture myths. This was the true danger of human thought. They didn't just fight wars, they waged ideological campaigns. They didn't just conquer territories, they conquered minds. They could destroy civilizations without firing a single shot simply by corrupting their beliefs. They could destabilize governments, incite revolutions, and topple empires with nothing more than ideas. This weaponization of ideas was most evident during the Cold War of the Sol Systema conflict, fought not with armies but with ideologies. Capitalism versus communism, democracy versus totalitarianism, freedom versus control. It was a war of narratives, propaganda, and psychological warfare, and humans perfected it. They used media, literature, music, and art to spread their ideologies. They broadcasted their beliefs across planets, systems, and galaxies. They turned culture into a battlefield and entertainment into a weapon. And they did it so effectively that even their enemies began to believe in their ideas. This was the terrifying brilliance of human strategy. They didn't just impose their will, they made others desire it. They didn't just enforce their values, they made others adopt them. They could conquer without occupying, rule without governing, and influence without commanding. When the Galactic Council tried to suppress human ideologies, they only made them stronger. Banning human literature made it contraband. Censoring human broadcasts made them irresistible. Persecuting human thinkers turned them into martyrs. The more they tried to control human ideas, the more those ideas spread. It was a war the Council could not win because they were fighting with weapons, while humanity was fighting with words. Words that could inspire rebellions, ignite revolutions, and overthrow tyrannies. Words that could not be stopped by force fields or plasma cannons. Words that could live on even after their speakers had perished. This was why humanity was feared not because of their strength, but because of their influence. They didn't just win battles, they won hearts and minds. They didn't just conquer worlds, they conquered realities. They could redefine good and evil, right and wrong, truth and lies. They could shape the very perception of existence. And this made them the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Because while other species fought to control territories, humans fought to control narratives. While others conquered planets, humans conquered ideas. And once they planted an idea, it could never be destroyed. This was the legacy of humanity, the species that turned thought into a weapon, and ideas into empires. The species that could rewrite history, reshape civilizations, and rule the galaxy without ever lifting a sword. It was this power that the Council feared more than any weapon, because no force in the universe could defeat an idea, and humanity had mastered the art of weaponizing them. The Galactic Council had faced countless threats throughout its long and storied history. They had battled ancient warlords, suppressed rogue AI uprisings, and even survived cosmic cataclysms that shattered worlds. But never had they faced an enemy quite like humanity, for humanity fought not merely with weapons but with ideas, and those ideas were spreading like a virus, infecting the minds of citizens across the galaxy. Desperate to contain this ideological onslaught, the Council convened in emergency sessions. Representatives from every member species gathered to discuss the human threat. They spoke not of invasions or military conquests, but of cultural contamination and ideological warfare. How could they defend against an enemy that could conquer minds without firing a single shot? Their first response was censorship. They banned human literature, restricted access to human broadcasts, and outlawed human philosophies. They deployed advanced AI algorithms to monitor communication networks, flagging and erasing any trace of human ideas. But they quickly realized that censorship was futile. The more they tried to silence human thoughts, the more alluring they became. Forbidden knowledge became a symbol of rebellion, a mark of defiance against the Council's authority. Next, they tried propaganda. The Council launched a galaxy-wide campaign to demonize humanity. They portrayed humans as dangerous radicals whose ideologies threatened galactic stability. They depicted Earth as a chaotic world ruled by disorder and violence. They spread rumors of human conspiracies, accusing them of corrupting cultures and inciting revolutions. But propaganda was a double-edged sword. By drawing attention to humanity, they only fueled curiosity. Species that had never heard of humans before were now eager to learn about them. Banned human books became prized possessions on the black market. Secret societies formed to study human philosophies, debating the merits of freedom, individuality, and revolution. Even council officials began to question their own beliefs, wondering what made human ideas so powerful. The council then turned to diplomacy, attempting to isolate Earth. They imposed sanctions, revoked trade agreements, and pressured allied systems to sever ties with humanity. They tried to paint humans as pariahs, unworthy of galactic citizenship. But humans were resourceful. They adapted to the sanctions, innovating new technologies to sustain themselves. They built alliances with marginalized species, offering them hope and solidarity. In trying to isolate humanity, the Council only strengthened their resolve. Realizing that conventional methods were failing, the Council resorted to covert operations. They funded insurgencies, incited civil unrest, and orchestrated political assassinations. They attempted to destabilize Earth from within, hoping to collapse humanity's ideological empire before it spread too far. But humans had faced internal strife for millennia. They had survived revolutions, civil wars, and ideological schisms. They turned these crises into opportunities for growth, emerging stronger and more united than before. The Council grew desperate. They authorized Black Ops missions to infiltrate human societies, steal their secrets, and sabotage their communications. Elite espionage units were deployed to spread disinformation and sow discord among human factions. But they underestimated human ingenuity. Humanity had mastered counterintelligence and psychological warfare. They turned the Council's own tactics against them, feeding false information and manipulating narratives to their advantage. In one infamous incident, a Council operative attempted to expose a human conspiracy to incite rebellion within a member species. But the humans had anticipated this move. They leaked falsified documents that implicated the Council itself in a plot to suppress freedom of speech. The revelation sparked outrage across the galaxy, leading to protests, riots, and political upheavals. The Council's credibility was shattered, and the human narrative of freedom and resistance gained even more followers. The situation grew dire. Human ideas were spreading beyond control, inspiring revolutions on distant worlds, uniting oppressed species under a common cause. The Council's authority was crumbling as more systems questioned their leadership, demanding reforms and challenging the status quo. In their last-ditch effort, the Council considered military action. They contemplated an invasion of Earth, a show of force to crush humanity once and for all. But they hesitated, haunted by the knowledge that human resistance was legendary. A direct assault would not only be costly but could also turn humanity into martyrs, cementing their ideas as symbols of hope and defiance. The Council was trapped. They could not silence human ideas, nor could they defeat them militarily. Every attempt to control, suppress, or destroy humanity had only made them stronger. And the more they fought, the more they played into humanity's narrative of freedom versus oppression. It was a war they could not win, for they were fighting not against an army but against a concept, an idea that could not be killed, imprisoned, or destroyed. An idea that was spreading across the galaxy, carried by the whisper of revolution and the flame of hope. This was the Galactic Council's greatest fear, that they were not merely facing a rival civilization, but a force of change that would redefine the very nature of existence. They were fighting against the power of thought itself, a power humanity had mastered like no other species before them. And so, the Council was left with a haunting realization. They were no longer fighting to defeat humanity. They were fighting to survive in a galaxy where human ideas had already won. Long after the first contact, humanity's influence spread not through conquest or coercion, but through the irresistible force of creativity. Across the galaxy, human art, music, literature, and technology seeped into cultures like ink into water, reshaping societies in ways the Galactic Council could never have predicted. Unlike traditional weapons, human creativity did not destroy, it transformed. The first signs were subtle. Alien musicians began experimenting with human musical scales, fascinated by the emotional depth of minor chords. On worlds where music was once purely mathematical, human blues and jazz unlocked a new dimension of expression. The melancholy wail of electric guitars echoed through alien concert halls, leaving audiences mesmerized and questioning emotions they never knew they had. Human literature followed, translated and distributed across countless star systems. Epic tales of heroism, tragedy, love and rebellion captivated readers from species with vastly different cultural backgrounds. Shakespearean dramas were reenacted by tentacled performers on aquatic worlds, while dystopian science fiction inspired philosophical debates among synthetic intelligences. Even the oldest civilizations found themselves grappling with the human concept of individualism, a narrative that celebrated the power of one against the many. But it was not just the arts that left a mark. Human science and technology sparked revolutions across the galaxy. Their ability to see beyond the limits of established paradigms to innovate without restraint was unlike anything the Council had encountered. Human inventions were chaotic, messy, and often riddled with flaws, yet they possessed an adaptability that was both terrifying and inspiring. Alien engineers were stunned by humanity's approach to problem-solving. Where other species refined existing designs over millennia, humans reinvented the wheel every generation. Their creativity was born from necessity, their ingenuity from survival. From makeshift spacecraft built in junkyards to groundbreaking quantum drives conceived in university dormitories, human technology was the embodiment of possibility. This influence began to reshape industries across the galaxy. Alien corporations once confined by tradition found new life in human entrepreneurial spirit. Trade networks expanded as humans introduced products that defied conventional logic yet captivated consumers. Even the Council's regulated economies struggled to adapt to the influx of human goods, ranging from simple gadgets to complex artificial intelligences that evolved with their users. Yet the most profound influence lay in human storytelling. Their narratives carried a power that transcended language and species. Through stories, humanity shared not just ideas but emotions, fear, hope, love, and rebellion. Alien societies, accustomed to rigid histories and factual records, were moved by tales of mythical heroes and flawed protagonists who defied fate. They began to see themselves in these stories, finding courage and inspiration in the human journey of struggle and triumph. This narrative power was most evident in political movements. Inspired by human stories of freedom and revolution, oppressed species found the words they needed to challenge authoritarian regimes. The concept of democracy, once alien to many civilizations, spread like wildfire as activists quoted human philosophers and poets. Independence movements adopted human slogans, and symbols of resistance from Earth became banners of hope on distant worlds. The Galactic Council watched in horror as human creativity shattered cultural barriers and undermined their authority. They had expected humans to wield weapons but were unprepared for the invasion of ideas and imagination. How could they combat poetry? How could they censor hope? Every attempt to ban human narratives only made them more influential, transforming banned books into sacred texts of rebellion. Desperate, the Council tried to counter this influence with their own propaganda. They commissioned art and stories that promoted loyalty and obedience. But their creations felt hollow, devoid of the raw emotion and authenticity that characterized human works. Where human stories inspired action, the Council's narratives demanded compliance. In this war of ideas, they were hopelessly outmatched. Ultimately, the power of human creativity lay in its ability to inspire change. It encouraged species to dream beyond their limitations, to question authority, and to imagine a better future. It was not just entertainment, it was revolution. By sharing their imagination with the galaxy, humans had done more than influence cultures, they had awakened them. And so, the galaxy changed, not through conquest or colonization, but through creativity. Humanity's greatest weapon was not their technology, strength, or numbers. It was their ability to dream and inspire others to do the same. In a universe bound by tradition and control, they had introduced the one force the Council could not suppress: imagination. Through creativity, humanity had achieved what no empire ever could. They had conquered the heart and soul of the galaxy. Humanity's greatest weapon was never their technology, military prowess, or numbers. It was their mind, their boundless creativity, adaptability, and the ability to turn ideas into reality. From the origins of human thought to the unpredictable nature of their minds, and from the weaponization of ideas to the influence of creativity, humans redefined the meaning of power in the galaxy. They showed that battles are not only fought on battlefields but in the hearts and minds of civilizations. The Galactic Council underestimated humanity because they measured power through traditional metrics: military strength, political influence, and economic control. They failed to understand the true power of ideas, how a story could spark revolutions, how a song could inspire hope, and how an invention born out of necessity could redefine industries. In trying to control and suppress humanity, they only amplified their influence. Through their creativity, humans not only survived but thrived, transforming the galaxy with their imagination. They proved that no walls could contain ideas and no amount of censorship could silence dreams. The galaxy was forever changed not by human conquest but by human inspiration. In their quest to understand human warfare, the Council learned a profound truth. The most powerful weapon is the mind that dares to dream. As we conclude this journey into the depths of human thought and its far-reaching consequences, one question remains: what will you do with this knowledge? Will you fear the unpredictable nature of human creativity, or will you embrace its potential to inspire change and innovation? The choice is yours. Humanity's legacy is a testament to the power of imagination. They showed that a single idea could change the course of history, that creativity could break chains, and that stories could unite worlds. In a galaxy where power was defined by force and control, humans redefined it through inspiration and hope. If you found this exploration of human thought provoking, consider joining us on this journey of discovery. Subscribe to Sci-Fi Humanity for more stories from the frontiers of imagination and possibility. Like, share, and let your voice be heard. Because just like the humans who changed the galaxy, your ideas have the power to inspire and transform the world. The story of humanity is far from over. It is being written by dreamers, thinkers, and creators just like you. Will you be a part of it? The future awaits, shaped by the power of imagination,